Hey guys, it's Heather here with Underwater Panther, and today's video is going to be a introduction to my Aquarian or INTJ Astro-Psychological Deep Dive Analysis ebook. You can find that in the description box below. It is 187 pages, and I have created long form version ebooks, and they all average around that amount of pages. And I have also created ebooks that are shorter and less expensive in case you don't have that much time to dive into the personality type with reading. I know that a lot of people learn better with video, so I've decided to create my Aquarian or INTJ video series here. It's easier to take in audio with visuals than to read. So I want you to have all options available to you. So I'm going to explain the ebook in 10 chapters so your brain doesn't explode. So maybe you're an Aquarius or INTJ, or maybe you keep attracting them and can't figure out whether they're your soulmate or the reason you cry. So welcome to the world of the Aquarian or INTJ archetype, the mentally unstoppable, emotionally unreadable, and deeply visionary human blueprint. So chapter 1, why this book exists. I mix astrology and psychology like a cosmic cocktail, equal parts of Carl Jung and Jupiter style, and stirred with shadow work. Why? Because therapy is great, but decoding your soul blueprint, that's galaxy brain level healing. Chapter 2 is about astrology and psychology, which equals astro-psychology. Astrology maps your archetype. Psychology explains your hardwiring. Combine them and you've got the full operating system, the ego, cognitive functions, and planetary vibes, all working together like a divine mainframe. Chapter 3, the ego isn't the villain. So let's fix the Western misunderstanding. The ego isn't some narcissistic monster. It's your command center. It integrates your reality, manages your instincts, and yeah, it's responsible for your occasional God complex, especially if you're an Aquarian or INTJ. Chapter 4, the 4 sides of the mind of the INTJ. I do take that into high consideration with astrology. Now, the difference with psychology is the 4 sides of the mind. And with MBTI, there are 16 personality types. And with astrology, there are 12. So there are 4 that I do not utilize in astro-psychology, and I do want you to be aware of that. But I do include it in my my frame here in my book and my videos. So just something to notate. So you're not just one type, you're 4 modes. For the Aquarian or INTJ, the ego is just that, and you're also considered the strategist. In your subconscious, you have the ESFP or Leo, the entertainer. The unconscious is the ENTP or Libra, also known as the visionary. And within your super ego, you have the ISFJ, the defender. Now, that is one that I am not diving too deep into. I will eventually, after I get my 12 personality type books done and probably 2,000 videos here on YouTube, I will eventually get there. I know I had a comment the other night from a sweet lady asking about me making a video on that, and I do plan on doing that. So thank you for asking. So mastering these 4 sides of your mind equals boss mode unlocked. Now, I also do look into, I looked into birth charts for many, many years. I've done 300 birth charts or so and a lot of relationship charts. So that is something that I've kind of moved on from. That's where I started. I started with my own birth chart, and then I branched out into friends, families, and coworkers, etc. So that was many years ago. If somebody is absolutely in a dark place of trying to understand themselves, or if somebody is having issue with their children or relationship, I am still open to doing the synastry chart or the birth chart. So my main focus currently, as of the last 3 years or so, I have been focusing on the foundational psychology, the astro-psychology of the actual archetype or personality type. So I've kind of moved on from that, but I do still offer that. Chapter 5 is about the Aquarius being a fixed air sign with a side of ice. Aquarius is the final air sign, mental, methodical, and unbothered. Fixed modality means you can tell them nothing. They're loyal to their thoughts, like Taurus is to snacks. Independent, analytical system builders who might forget to sleep. So I do break down a lot of the 7 principles of alchemy. I get into the masculine and feminine, and I kind of combine that with introversion and extroversion. I do have disclaimers. I don't mention them here on YouTube anymore, but I do see people like they are on a we're all systems within systems. There's a huge spectrum. There's many different percentage levels. I'm not trying to box people in. That was also a comment I read a few days ago. Someone was mentioning that you shouldn't label people and box them in. That is not my goal here. That is, it's not even something that I think. I have an Aquarian mind, so I don't like being boxed in myself. I don't like to be labeled myself, but I do know that with personality types, the deeper you get into this, you realize that people lead with certain social interaction styles. You can see that we are people of pattern. And so, it's really, it is something that you have to get into, I think, for many, many years before you start realizing the patterns. I'm naturally really good at seeing patterns in people through their actions, their emotional world, how they think and how they communicate. So to me, it's just leading percentage levels. And we do switch either chaotically or not chaotically into different parts of our mind. So taking the four sides of the mind into consideration psychologically, and then astrologically, you can look at that like your sun sign is your ego, your subconscious is your moon sign, your unconscious, there is Mars and Saturn, and then your super ego astrologically is your rising sign. And so however you want to look at it, we do transition into different sides of our mind due to stress, due to environmental factors, whatever the case may be. So do take all of that into consideration. I am not trying to label you, especially you Aquarians. So chapter 6, I get in. Oh, I was saying I get into the masculine and feminine with introversion and extroversion. And I also get into the season. I break down what each season for each personality type represents. I think that's very important. If you follow along with that in your own life, you can get the vibe of each season, and that actually goes deeply into the personality types. So you've got that, and I break down the modality, fixed modality, and then the air element. And then I get into the 11th house energy. So Aquarius rules the 11th house, which represents friends, groups, and long term dreams. It's not about brunch, it's about global vision, building communities, and knowing everyone at the party without needing to speak to anyone. Chapter 7, we have Mercury in Aquarius. Now, I don't get into this too deeply, but astrologically, the deeper you get into this, you realize that if someone has a sun sign in Aquarius, their Mercury, thinking and communication. I do tie Mercury in with the ego. That is so important. I definitely need to highlight that here. Mercury is how we think and communicate, and then your ego is how you act and who you're trying to become. So, if you have your sun in Aquarius, your Mercury is either going to be in Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces. And so Mercury in Aquarius doesn't think outside the box. They throw the box away and build a whiteboard wall instead. They break down communication like a code, analytical, time-consuming, brilliant, also a little savage with their words. They have the icy sword of truth, or if you want to look at it with an I hero, it's considered the fiery sword of truth. That can be debated. And oh, here we go. Chapter 8, masculine versus feminine energies. I got ahead of myself. Aquarians or INTJs lead with the yang or masculine logic, assertiveness, and execution, but balance is key. So, yin is the nurturing, emotional, creative, feminine energy, and we must show up to, or else anxiety, burnout, and emotional ghosting ensues. Yes, even strategists need hugs. So I do talk in a little bit of depth with how to balance our own masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. And then you also need to be aware that, relationships with other people, there are also domineering masculine and feminine energies. So Aquarians are actually the top 5, and I would even say top 3 masculine personality types. The women are especially very masculine. Aries are very masculine. Gemini, Aries or ESTP, Gemini or ENTJs are very masculine, and INTJ or Aquarians are very masculine in the top 5. And so that is something to be aware of. And then chapter 9, we have temperament and cognitive structure. So I do go very in depth with what temperament is. So you're a finisher type. Aquarians are INTJs. They are direct in their communication. So they say what they mean what they say. They're responding, which means they want other people to come to them with information normally. And they are movement oriented, which means they are super triple. Actually, I think they're triple movement, but they're definitely triple pragmatic. Movement oriented means that you are like, you're just you want to be working on a goal, kind of like Capricorn or ISTJs. It's like that mountain goat that is slowly climbing the mountain. You may procrastinate when you start a big project or whatever, but you are going to see it through. And so Aquarians or INTJs are always working on goals. They're very, very focused, laser-like focused on their goals. And then Aquarians are abstract, so they are in the field of, in astrology, the air. They're intellectuals in psychology, and they're always abstracting ideas. They're very in their head. Concrete are the fire signs and the earth signs. So concrete people, they're more grounded in the physical realm, and they're not in their head with abstraction and theories and ideas and visualization. And then Aquarians are pragmatic. That means that they're very independent in their decision making, and they're systematic. So they're very focused on building systems, understanding systems from the bottom up and the top down. So they love building systems for efficiency. And so the translation, you think deep, act fast, and care more about frameworks than feelings. Chapter 10, Self-Development, the Long Game. This archetype isn't about blending in, it's about integration. The goal is individuation, becoming a whole, aware, creative being. Build systems, balance emotion, question reality, own your weirdness. Aquarians or INTJs were born to lead quietly but powerfully. So, this is not a personality trend, it's an archetypal path. You're not here to be liked, you're here to innovate, to question, to build the new world. The Aquarian or INTJ archetype is intense, yes, but also extremely powerful. So, yeah, I have a Pisces or INFJ ego and an Aquarian or INTJ mind. And so I know very, very deeply what it's like to have a personality that does not fit in. I have always felt like I do not fit in. I have always questioned authority, and I have always wanted to create my own system of thinking. And I love pulling from many, many different sources. I cannot just go to college. I've tried many times in different fields. I cannot have someone just tell me this is how you need to think. Any system that I get in, I find myself questioning, why the hell are we doing it this way? Like allopathic medicine drives me insane. I love naturopathic medicine, but I also see, both can be beneficial. And so, yeah, here I am creating my own astro-psychological system here. I only know of like one other person doing this. So, I am definitely a pioneer. I'm an Aries rising, and you best believe that I have been criticized to absolute death for doing these videos and writing my books. And on the other hand, I have really got to know people on a very deep level. I am able to communicate with people on, their level. I kind of tailor my communication and language use, the terminology to where people are at, and that is okay. But, you're going to have everyone on both sides of the spectrum. You're going to have PhDs on either side of an argument. And really, it just comes down to what is right for you. And I think it's extremely important to understand ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and not just physically. It's not just about aesthetics and looking good and, also fitness and nutrition. That is extremely important. But I find myself trying to fill this gap, bridging science with spirituality. I think that's the reason I am on this planet. To be very honest, that is my soul journey here. And I really hope that you are enjoying these videos. And at the end of the day, I know what it's like to be the odd man out and the oddball. And, there's many, many of us, and it's easier to connect online nowadays. I have grown up in the middle of nowhere. I tell people that I came from a hole, or I've lived in a hole my whole life. A farm kid. I've lived on the farm. I work in the city. I've been social. I enjoy networking, but I'm extremely, extremely intellectual, and I'm very selective with who I let into my life. And yeah, so anyways, I am rambling a whole heck of a lot more than I intended to. So this was just a little video on promoting my Aquarian or INTJ Astro-Psychological Deep Dive Analysis ebook. Do check that out in the description box below. It is 187 pages, and it really doesn't matter what level you are at with your studies. You can be in this studying astrology or psychology. You can be in it for a month, you can be in it for a year, you can be in it for 5 years, and it really will take you from the beginning. It's visual, it's step by step on how to understand you know, the deeper you get, the more you realize, holy cow, I could study this my entire life and not even hardly scratch the surface, but I can tell you that it's been extremely helpful. I feel more grounded in myself. I understand myself more. I understand other people, and it helps with parenting. It helps with, you know, even working in a career. It's truly amazing. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. I hope so. Take care, and I will see you on the other side.